In this section, you'll be looking at the applications of linear equations, which is the section that most of you dread, and that's the one on word problems. Okay, but you will notice it's not as bad as you think. The bottom line is you have to read in phrases. Okay, so any teacher will tell you, read the question carefully. Translate phrases into expressions. Okay, so let's take for example, if we say a number increased by 2. So when you don't know what a number is, the natural choice would be call it x. Increased by just means plus, and 2, and of course 2. Okay, so you never read from beginning to end, you just go bit by bit by bit and translate to an expression. What does that mean to you? So 4 very common words in word problems is sum of A and B. So when we say sum of A and B, understand that it's sum means plus, so that's A and that's B. What if I want it to be minus? Then I would say the word is difference. So difference of A and B. So you notice you still see the N and B. The A and the B is in everyone. Okay. The only difference is now the word is difference. So when you see difference, then between A and B, the sign is a minus. So what word would I use if I mean A times B? So the word is product. So product of A and B. So again, you see the A and B. So just looking at A and B doesn't tell you much. You have to look at the word that's in front of them. Okay, so in this case, product just means multiply. And finally, the last word is quotient. Okay, so the last operation, quotient, and again, A and B just means A divided by B. So in all cases, there's A and B. You just have to know what operation you need to use. Is it plus? Is it minus? And the other thing is there is 2 words you need to look out for. So another word for difference is where we say A less. So A less B just means A minus B. Now, if I want you to reverse the order, then I'm going to have to use one extra word, A less than B. So the minute you use this word then, okay, the minute you use the word then, you have to remember to reverse the order. Meaning, instead of A minus B, it's now B minus A. So whenever you see less, you think of subtraction. But when you see the word then, it means the A has to go to the back and the B has to go to the front. Okay, so the order is being reversed. There is yet another word you need to look out for, so let's write this down. If it's A subtract, or rather X subtract Y, that just means X minus Y. But if I want you to reverse the order, then the word I'm going to use is AX subtract from Y. So this is the other word to look out for, from. Okay, then and from, then you will have to put Y first and then X. So these are the 2 words you have to watch out for. They mean difference, okay? In both cases, they still mean difference, except that you have to remember to reverse the order. Alright, so let's see how we can incorporate this information into a problem. So take for example, I say that the sum of a number and 3 multiplied by 4 is the same as 3 times the number increased by 15. So let's try that. The sum, so that tells you is addition, right? Number and 3. So number in the front, 3 behind. So this whole piece is called the sum. So every time you see sum or difference, we usually put a parentheses to mean it's one pair, okay, like that. So the sum of number and 3. Now this sum is being multiplied by 4, so that's why in front of the parentheses you put a 4, as in the sum is being multiplied. It's the same as just means equal 3 times the number. So this time we're not doing 3 times the sum or 3 times the difference. We're doing 3 times the number, and number is x, right? So this would be 3x. Increase by just means plus, and 15. So observe what I did. I actually broke it down from phrases, okay, and then convert to expressions. I did not do from beginning to end. And the question is, can you find the number? So that's just another way of saying, can you solve it? So you have an equation in front of you, just solve that. Okay, so distribute that. So you end up with 4x plus 12 is equals to 3x plus 15. Bring the 3x over, bring the 12 over. So that tells you x is 3. So the number is 3. So at this point, I think solving-wise, all of you have no problem. What you're learning in 2.4 or in this section on applications of linear equations is for you to translate from phrases into equations and then solve it and then answer the question. So there are 3 big groups of problems you need to know how to solve. The first big group is on numbers. So you've seen one example on numbers. Let me show you another popular example on numbers, and that's on consecutive numbers. So for example, if I say 3 consecutive integers add up to 543. Now let's try 3 consecutive odd integers. Okay, so 3 consecutive odd integers add up to 543. Find the numbers. Now, so from the question, you understand that your job is to look for 3 numbers. So straight away, the unknowns are first, second, and third. There are 3 numbers. I need to find 3 numbers. So the first mistake that anyone can make is to call it x, y, z. So you do not want to call it 3 different variables, because then you have to match it with 3 different equations. Okay, so you don't want to deal with that. We want to deal with only 1 variable. And so we want to know if these 3 numbers that we're looking for, how are they related? Okay, so definitely I cannot call it x, 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 because if I call it x, 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 I'm saying that the 3 numbers are the same numbers, which is not true. Okay, so let's try. Okay, let's understand what's consecutive odd integers. So take for example, if the first number is a 25, how would I get the next 2 numbers? So we are talking about consecutive odd, right? So after 25, the next number will be 27, and the next number will be 29. So how do you go from 25 to 27? How much do you skip by? Okay, so what is the difference? So you notice you skip by 2. And from 25, how do you get to 29? You will skip by 2 from 27. So in total, you're going to skip by 4. Okay, so if I started the number, say the number is 59, then the next number would be 61, again skip by 2, and the next number would be 63, again skip by 4. So all of a sudden you start to see a pattern. Okay, so since we do not know what's the first number, we're going to call the first number as x. So if the first number is x, what do you think is the next one? Okay, so if you get the pattern from before, it tells you have to skip by 2. So from x, when you plus 2, so that means the new number is now x plus 2. So to get the next one, you're going to have to add 4. So that will bring you to x plus 4. So all of a sudden, we know our unknowns. It's going to be x, x plus 2, and x plus 4. So we did not call them all x's, because that means they're all 3 numbers are the same numbers. But they are related, even though they're not the same number, right? But they're related, and the relationship is how much do you skip by. So from one number to the next, how much do you skip by? So that's their relationship. So there's no need to call it x, y, z because I know there's a connection between them. And that connection is what allows me to use only one variable, okay, instead of like 3 different variables. So this is in the scenario of odd. Now before I continue, make sure you understand I'm not saying that 2 and 4 are odd numbers. They're not, okay? 2 and 4, they're not odd numbers. But the thing is, in this case, from one odd number, as you can see my examples, from 59 to 61, they are both odd numbers, but the skip is 2, okay, the difference. Just as from 59 to 63, the skip is 4. So we are talking about the difference here. Well, the 2 and the 4 is referring to the difference, okay, from one odd number to the next one. Now, since we are discussing, what if we are talking about consecutive even numbers, okay, what would that be? So if we have also 3 numbers in question, how much is the skip? Okay, think carefully. So an example would be like, for example, 70, 78, okay, that's an even number. How much would I have to skip to get to the next one? That would be 80, and the skip is 2. And to get the next one, which is 82, the skip will be 4. So notice the skip is still 2 and 4. Okay, so does that mean everything is 2 and 4? Actually, no. What happens if I say only consecutive numbers? So I'm interested in consecutive numbers. So let's talk about 3 numbers again, x, y, 3 numbers, okay? So this time I don't care if they're even or odd. I just need them to be consecutive. So for example, the first number is, I don't know, 79, okay? For it to be consecutive, that means the next one will be 80. So from 79, how do I get to 80? The skip is only 1, right? And from 80 to the next number, which is 81, that means from 79, the skip is 2. So the skip this time is not 2 and 4, it's really 1 and 2. So the first number is x. Next number will be x plus 1. And next number will be x plus 2. Okay? So the plus 1 or plus 2 or plus 4, that's just telling you about the skip, how much you have to skip from one to another. Okay, so we've digressed enough. Let's go back to the problem. So there's 3 consecutive odd integers and they add up to 543. So my 3 numbers are x, x plus 2, and x plus 4. So a lot of students will go x plus 4 equals 543. Now think carefully. Who is x plus 4? X plus 4 is only the third number. See? So if you were to say x plus 4 is 543, that means you are telling me that the third number is 543. But that's not what the question said. The question said 3 numbers together add up to 543. So you only have one number right now, which is the third one. So what happened to the second one? And what happened to the first one? Okay, so you need to add all 3 together in order for the sum to be 543. Okay, so don't rush to write your equation. You have to understand what your equation is trying to say and whether it matches with the question. Okay, so once you got your equation right, then go ahead and solve it. 3x plus 6 is 543. Subtract 6 away, so 3x is, 537. Okay, and divide by 3. So x is going to be, let's get a calculator here, and that would come up to 537 divided by 3, which comes up to be 179. So a lot of students are very pleased by themselves, pleased with themselves by now, right? Because they found the answer to be 179, and that's it, done. Actually, they're not done, because if you go back to the question, 179 is only your very first number, right? And the question is asking you for all 3 numbers. So don't get to finish the problem. So 179 plus 2 will make it 181, and 179 plus 4 will make it 183. So in answer to the question, the 3 numbers are 179, 181, and 183. Okay, besides word problems on numbers, you would also need to know some geometry applications. Okay, so geometry applications, the most common one that you're almost guaranteed to know or to be tested on is the one on rectangle. okay? And in the rectangle, there are two sides, which we call the length, and we call the width, okay? And let's denote them with L and W. Now you need to know what is perimeter. Perimeter is referring to the sum of all boundary sides. So in this case, the perimeter of the rectangle is going to be the length plus the length, because there's two of them, and then plus the width plus the width. Okay, so basically you have to add on both sides. That's called perimeter. Now the other thing you need to know is the area. So area is really the space within the boundary sides. Okay, so for perimeter you can think of fencing. Like you want to build a picket fence around your house, okay? That would be perimeter. Whereas area is more like this is the floor in your house, okay, and you wish to carpet the floor, so you're talking about covering the space within the walls, right? So so that is going to be the area, okay? And for area, the formula is going to be one length times one width. Okay, so perimeter you use both lengths and both widths, but you add. But in area you multiply, okay? But you only use one length and one width to multiply. So that is for rectangle. So let me show you an example of that. So let's say, take for example, the length of a rectangle is 3 yards more than 4 times its width. The perimeter is 96 yards. Find its dimensions in yards. Okay, so if you look at this question, anytime you do with geometry, I think it will be easiest if you draw a picture. So this is an example of a rectangle. There is two different sides in dimension, the length and the width. And you notice instead of calling it two variables, if you recall what I said earlier, try to restrict to only one variable, right? And you notice the first sentence is that the length is 3 yards more than 4 times the width. So it is taken with reference to the width, and so that's why we are going to call the width as x. So that's my width. Okay, so that's, I'm going to call this x. Okay, so if I call the width as x, I'm told that the length is 3 yards, that's 3. Yards is just a unit, so you don't put that in the equation. So 3 more than, so it's plus, it would be 3 plus, but now because of the width then, you're going to put the plus in the back, right? So it's plus 3, okay? And I'm sorry, in front. So 4 times the width, so it's going to be 4 times the width plus 3. So 3 more than 4 times the width, okay? And that's my length. All right, so I'm told the perimeter. And so remember, length, there's two of them, okay? So it's going to be 4x plus 3, that's one length, plus 4x plus 3, that's another length, right? Two lengths. And you also need two widths, so it's going to be x plus x, so that's my width and that's my width. Two lengths and two widths, and the total is 96. Okay, so that's because your total perimeter is length plus width, right? So we add all four sides and we equate to 96. So now if you combine like terms, it comes to 10x plus 6 is 96. Subtract 6, so it's 10x is 90. And divide by 10 tells you x is 9. Again, don't celebrate too soon. 9 is only the x, which is the width. So what this tells you is that the width is 9 yards. Right? So you still need to do some work to figure out the length. And to find the length, you notice it is 4x plus 3. So that's going to be 4 times 9 plus 3. So 4 times 9 is 36 plus 3, 39. So that tells you that the length is 39 yards. So this is what you call dimensions. Okay, so in a rectangle, when you say dimensions, there's two. There's the length and there's the width. Together, it forms a dimension. So that's one application for geometry. And the other application for geometry is where we deal with angles. Okay, so angles, two types of angles. One is the supplementary angles, add up to 180. So let's make sure you understand. Supposedly I call this angle as x. Okay, how would I find the other angle? Now let's pretend x is 20. So if x is 20, so if one angle is 20, okay, so let's think like this. So this is my angle and that's my supplement, right? So if one angle is 20 degrees, how would I find the other angle? So basically I'm asking you which angle will add to 20 and make it 180. So you will see that the answer is 160, right? Which is the angle that supplement to, let's say, 70 degrees, okay? So you would think of what's 180, what angle together with 70 will make it 180, so let's call it 110. So think about it, that how did you get 160? You take 180 minus 20. Just as how do you get 110? You take 180 minus 70, right? So what if now I tell you is x? So what would be considered to be the supplement? Then it will be 180 minus x. Okay, so that is what you call supplementary angles. The other one is called the complementary angles. So complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So complementary angles look like that, where you have 90 degrees. Okay, so one of them is x. What do you think is the other one? So let's try. Okay, so this time we know that the two angles have to add up to 90. So that angle is called the complement. So supposedly I have this to be 20 degrees, then the complement would be 70. But how do you go from 20 to 70? That's by taking 90 degrees minus 20 degrees. Okay, what if this was, what's the complement of, say, 50 degrees? Then this would be 40 degrees, and the reason is because 90 minus 50 is 40. So if I tell you this is x, what is the complement? The complement would be 90 minus x. So the following is one question where it can get a little bit confusing, but when you do Educo, you will see it being asked. Okay, so let me show you. Can you find the measure of an angle whose supplement is twice its complement? So really we're testing you if you know what is supplement. Okay, so let's try that. So the angle is x. Okay, the angle is x. If angle is x, then the supplement, if you recall, is going to be 180 minus x. This whole thing is called the supplement. Okay, the difference. The complement is going to be 90 minus x. Again, it's a package deal. Okay, it's the difference of 90 minus x that makes it the complement. So find the measure of the angle. So your job is to find x, whose supplement is twice the complement. So supplement, that's that, is means equal, twice, that means 2 times. Complement, 90 minus x. So 180 minus x is called the supplement, and 90 minus x is called the complement. Okay, so work that out. So if you solve that, 180 minus x is equal to distribute that, 180 minus 2x. Happily, you're gonna add x to both sides, for example. So 180 is equal to 180 minus x. And then you're gonna subtract 180 on both sides. So 0 is equals to negative x, which means x is 0 degrees. So the angle we're talking about is 0 degrees. The angle is 0 degrees. Okay, the third type of problem that you're responsible for is the one with coin problems. Okay, so the ones involving money. So let me write down the question first, and then we'll discuss it. Okay, so you have a piggy bank. So a piggy bank contains $8 in dimes and quarters. There are 10 more dimes than quarters. Find the number of each type. Okay? Alright, so when you read the question, straight away it jumps at you, right? There's two types of different coins. So let's write down number of dimes, number of quarters. Now, like I was saying, try not to use two variables, stick to one, okay? And you notice there is a relationship given to you. There are 10 more dimes than quarters. So quarters is being used as a reference. So x is going to be my number of quarters. And dimes, there's 10 more than that, okay? So dimes is going to be whatever quarters is plus 10. Okay, so that's how I determine how many dimes and how many quarters. Now, if you see, say, 5 coins on the table, okay? If you see 5 coins on the table, are you able to tell me how much that represents? I don't think so, right? Because you need to know how much those coins represent, because I didn't tell you what the coins were. Just as if I tell you the 5 coins are dimes, so there's 5 dimes, okay? So if I tell you there's 5 dimes, you say it's 50 cents. If I say there's 5 nickels, then it's 25 cents. So how do you go from, if it's dimes, it's 50 cents? Because you have to multiply the number with the face value of the coin. So to obtain money, to obtain dollar worth, you will have to multiply face value of the coin with number of coins. Okay, so that's why in the example of 5 coins and I tell you it's 5 nickels, it came up to be 25 cents because it's 5 times 5. 5 coins times 5 cents. Okay, so it came out to 25 cents. And if it's 5 dimes, then it's 5 coins times 10 cents. So it's 5 times 10, which is 50 cents. So you always have to use the face value of the coin multiplied by the number of coins. So if you recall our story, we had 2 types of coins. There's dimes and there's quarters. Okay, quarters, there's x of them, and dimes, I have x plus 10. But the thing is, for me to get money out of this, okay, I need to get the money worth, which is $8, okay, which is $8. I need to multiply it by the worth of the coin. So besides using the number of coins, I also have to remember that dimes is 10 cents, which is equivalent to 0.10 in dollars. And quarters is 25 cents, which is equivalent to 0.25. So this is going to be 0.10 because that's a dime plus 0.25 times x. So in order for me to get money out of the equation, I have to multiply 2 things, okay? Face value of the coin and number of coins. So the x plus 10 and the x that you see here is just the number of coins. So these are referring to the number of coins. Okay, whereas the 0.10 and the 0.25, that's referring to the face value of the coin. and that is equal to $8. So if I were to remove my parentheses, it's going to be 0.10x plus 10 times 0.10 is going to make it into 1.0 plus 0.25x is equal to 8.00. So if you recall, we were saying that there is a way we can get rid of all the decimals, and we multiply it by the powers of 10. Okay, so it's either we use 10 or we use 100 or 1,000. So it all depends on how many decimal places we're trying to remove, right? So the most decimal place that we see here is 2 decimal places, so I'm going to multiply by 100 to all of them. Now when I do that, this is going to move by 2 decimal places, so it becomes 10x, that's 100, that's 2 decimal places, so it's 25x, and that's 2 decimal places, that's 800. So combining like terms makes it 35x plus 100, subtract 100 from both sides, makes it 35x is 700, divided by 35 tells me x is 20. Okay, so I have to go back to the problem and figure out what this 20 means. So if you look at x, that's the number of quarters. So what this is telling me is there are 20 quarters. Okay, how would I figure out how many dimes that means? Okay, and dimes is x plus 10. Dimes is x plus 10, so x is 20, so that comes out to be 30 dimes. Okay, so 30 because it's x plus 10, and x is 20, so 20 plus 10 makes it 30. So you can always check, right? What's 20 quarters? 20 quarters is $5, right? And 30 dimes is $3, so 5 and 3, $8. Okay, so that's correct. So they add up to $8. Okay, so please look over the lecture again. This is one of the harder ones. You might have to watch it again. Okay, make sure you watch it as many times as you need to. But these are the 3 types you need to know. Okay, word problems involving numbers, geometry, as well as coin. Okay, coin problems.